observing the homeless being housed along the freeways nearest the education centers for children at the Children's Discovery Museum. This is 2017 in the July timeframe. As many as 30 to 40 tents could be found here all the time, while rangers patrol by them daily. Housing the homeless over 14 years at this one location along an educational facility. Looking at the interpretive educational displays and how they are being overran by housing homeless for years at a time, to the point of exploiting children to these horrible conditions. Observing the eviction notices and how people are just being shuffled around, receiving a notice to attend a cleanup on freeways off of the McKee and the 680 freeway. While the mayor attends this, he abandons all the children within the downtown river education centers, along rivers, and at the Children's Discovery Museum. From river property to freeway on-ramps just 100 feet away, to public property and public streets, Caltrans property and railroad property. The Reed Street on-ramp to the 680 freeway, a quick look. Elderly persons having no place to go, so they could simply return at later times. Many of these mentally ill, overwhelming the 911 emergency system as calls throughout the day of people bathing, naked, masturbation within parks or in the river systems, that educators can't even use the park. The on-ramps from downtown San Jose at Park Avenue within a city park system. Please observe the stove, observing the barbecues, the wildfires, all days and all night, from freeways, city streets, river parks, to allow the homeless to light fires during the day and night so they can cook, gather all the wood from within the park systems, to even cut down trees and then find the burned down campsites like this one here. Calls to the homeless are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Services exploited. This is panning off of the roof of the Children's Discovery Museum. While we were up on the roof, we seen some of the homeless carrying fishing poles, and we actually observed what looks like clubbing type sticks. Observing how the city of San Jose is now endangering children and families by allowing this activity in the vicinity of a museum education center for children. Housing the criminal element amongst the public within park systems so they could go and steal and break into facilities. Many reports on educators with children being harassed by the homeless, sometimes even just bathing naked, pointing at children, laughing, creating dangerous induced disease outbreaks and rat infestation. The other designated location downstream is a $8 million ranger station specially designed for the SAP Pavilion of the vicinity of two confluences, the Los Gatos Creek and the Guadalupe River system, coming together with capabilities of radio tracking telemetry for Chinook, salmon viewing from the elevated windows, and also to highlight the beneficial uses like navigation, canoeing, and observing wildlife. Part of this facility is a small amusement park with a playground, a concession stand, and a carousel. A $2 to $3 million carousel remains abandoned now for 14 years, along with the ranger station, housing homeless for 14 years, allowing criminals to flourish within a multi-million-dollar park system that has been restored for endangered animals. The global news the city of San Jose received in 2012 through 2016 of housing homeless within the river systems, the jungle, which started in 1997 on the Guadalupe River system. The jungle reached its peak in October 30th of 2013, kicking and moving around the homeless to the Coyote watershed throughout a 24-year period without ever assessing the damage. It's in the billions of dollars going into 2018, and here is the next part of what you're about to see. Has now reached epic proportions, allowing volunteers and nonprofit groups to do their job without ever assessing what the volunteers did to clean up, finding the electrical outlets open, and the homeless stealing electricity now can be compared to a science fiction film. MAX Thunderdome has arrived early to the city of San Jose. City officials and Santa Clara Valley Water District advising all personnel, including officers, to avoid all areas and to not even do their current jobs, from even taking care of a park, to observing the park, to patrolling the park, to even assist the people in the downtown areas that are in jeopardy of being endangered by the homeless, breaking numerous laws, damaging city property, damaging restored projects for endangered animals, even carrying picks and shovels. You could hear throughout the day the activity of these homeless tunneling 10 feet into the riverbanks, and you could even find the hidden equipment like shovels like this one in a tunnel. I tried to conduct a citizen's arrest, and you're going to see in the next scene as I try to apprehend, calling 911 at the same time filming the person and trying to conduct a citizen's arrest. The person covers his face, then tells me that he will film me as well. The 911 calls took nearly 40 minutes. Returning to the site 4 days later, the person came back. This time I was ready with my camera to get film of his face. He left the area and is still at large, living within the downtown areas on the river system, and most certainly doing more damage. Just a half a mile upstream from the Children Discovery Museum, the catastrophic damage from the homeless is even more enormous. Upper reaches to lower reaches, the same activity, people doing damage to state property, freeways, altering entire river systems, making poaching areas to solely apprehend king salmon. The problem is so enormous, it overwhelms the Department of Fish and Wildlife Service, causes from understaffing, underpay, and not having enough resources. So our group helped the organization by patrolling hotspots and targeting where the biggest damage is being done within the central areas of downtown San Jose. Salmon and Steelhead Restoration Group investigating and monitoring and patrolling and filming all of the activity, while the Santa Clara Valley Water District and the City of San Jose conduct cleanups with volunteers, failing to report and failing to assess the damage, leaving all the information out of reports. Between both parties, the City of San Jose and Santa Clara Valley Water District, admitting that they look the other way when it involves the homeless doing millions of dollars worth of damage within the city. Major construction of a terrace staircase to a homeless encampment. For 14 years, this was allowed while Water District and City of San Jose failed to report all this activity So much major damage that the river dropped as much as 8 to 10 feet in elevation throughout this whole entire compound homeless encampment. Barriers so large and so immense they would be considered as grade control structures, making a river system to drop in elevation. Observing how immense of moving hundreds of pounds of rocks to create a terrace staircase to the homeless encampment. Observing the SAP Pavilion at St. John Street, one of the largest poaching areas where even the homeless tried to divide the river down the middle to move water to their campsites to solely apprehend king salmon, making as many as 20 structures to alter a river project that was designated for Chinook salmon. State agents called to the scene and City of San Jose police officers refusing to assist. Observing stolen items from residents. Finding ladders, water pumps, tapping into the electrical systems, stealing wire from the private sectors, from freeways. My investigation on how much damage was done to Caltrans property along freeways. As homeless got pushed onto State Caltrans property freeway systems, the amount of damage of making all the highways go dark leading out of San Jose, that I even found so much wire thrown over from the freeways onto river systems that almost a mile worth of wire, CHP had to come and pick it up at my residence. This is my dog Zoe in the backdrop. In the next scene is the modern caveman, and then tunneling into bridges. This is what's going on. People living with inside the bridge of these inspection panels, or even they just cut a hole inside the bridge here underneath the 87 freeway. Panning from historic landmarks with educational displays down to where homeless have constructed major housing complexes along rangers' patrols. Observing all the eviction notices and then finding the gardens of vegetables, planting all over in restoration projects that were designated for endangered animals, and seeing that the homeless just get pushed further downriver so they could simply return at a later date. To house homeless in some of the most flood-prone areas in the state of California is on the Guadalupe River. City of San Jose Mayor's Office breaking several federal laws. As early as 2014, in allowing giant homeless compounds to start taking over the areas where millions of gallons of jet fuel are stored. Observing broken gates, observing the pathways that the homeless are using, observing the cameras, Homeland Security, observing the giant compound for almost a year. Visible from the 87 freeway getting on the 101 from the Trimble Road exit. As I walked along the freeway, observing fuel that is being used by the homeless, also the panels that are taken out where they're starting to break in to steal the wire, observing all the furniture, materials that and a tent right alongside the freeway along the tanks. Looking at Google Earth aerials starting September of 2017, you could see just one tent there as they increase and move closer to the tanks through 2018 September, the last aerial that you'll see at the end. Homeland Security cameras capturing it all. Observing the large compound homeless tent in purple move closer to the jet fuel tanks. October 14th, 2018. Plaza de Cesar Chavez. Community service officers Avoiding and abandoning children. 1 block away distance, and not one of these community service officers could be found at a children's event. Sunday, October 14th, 2018. One of the biggest children's events is Pumpkins in the Park at Discovery Meadow. The main entrance from the Children's Discovery Museum still remains abandoned, as a giant compound of homeless has overtaken one of the education centers closest to Discovery Park. City of San Jose helped to host this event and had months of planning and still allowed this to happen. With speaking with the executive director from the Guadalupe River Park Conservancy, her concern on having to place security. As we spoke, this person came out of underneath the pedestrian bridge, and lo and behold, look at how many flags this person has. You have to wonder who might be missing flags on their buildings right now. Allowing criminal activity within park systems in the vicinity of educational landmarks.